Argentina's sudden withdrawal from joining BRICS marks a dramatic shift in its global alliances. The decision, announced just as the country was poised to become a full member, sent shockwaves through international diplomatic circles and left many analysts scrambling to interpret its implications. For decades, Argentina has navigated a complex web of relationships, balancing ties with both emerging powers and established Western nations. The election of President Javier Milei triggered this reversal, signaling a pivot away from China, Russia, and Brazil, and a renewed embrace of the US and Western allies. Milei's administration has made it clear that Argentina's future lies with liberal democracies and free market economies, rather than the state-led models favored by some BRICS members. This move is not just about foreign policy, it's about redefining Argentina's place in the world. This wasn't just a policy tweak, it was a bold redefinition of Argentina's foreign policy and national identity. The decision has sparked heated debate at home, with some Argentines fearing economic isolation, while others see it as a necessary step to restore confidence and attract Western investment. The streets of Buenos Aires have become a stage for both protest and support, reflecting the nation's deep divisions over its future direction. For BRICS, Argentina's rejection was a rare public rebuff, highlighting the challenges the bloc faces in expanding its influence. For the US and its allies, however, it was a diplomatic win in the ongoing contest for Latin American influence, reinforcing Washington's position as a key partner for Buenos Aires. The move has also prompted other countries in the region to reconsider their own alignments. The move is a gamble. Argentina is now more dependent on Western goodwill, even as China and Brazil remain its top trading partners. Navigating this new reality will require careful diplomacy and economic strategy, as Argentina seeks to maintain vital trade relationships while pursuing new opportunities with the West. The stakes are high, and the risks are real. The choice reflects two competing visions, one favoring multipolar cooperation with the global South, the other a clear alignment with the West. Argentina now stands at a crossroads, its foreign policy shaped by both ideological conviction and pragmatic necessity. The world is watching to see which path it will ultimately follow. As Argentina embarks on radical reforms, it must balance ideology with economic necessity, a tension that will shape its future. The coming years will test the resilience of its institutions, the adaptability of its economy, and the unity of its people as they navigate this pivotal moment in their nation's history. BRICS has transformed from a simple investment acronym into a dynamic and influential geopolitical bloc, reshaping the global landscape. What began as a loose association of emerging economies has now become a platform for cooperation, dialogue, and strategic action on the world stage. The group's evolution reflects the shifting balance of power in international relations, as more countries seek alternatives to traditional Western alliances. Today, BRICS has expanded its membership to include South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Indonesia, bringing together a diverse coalition of nations from different continents and backgrounds. This expansion signals a growing desire among emerging economies to have a greater say in shaping global affairs. The alliance's mission is clear: to amplify the voices of emerging economies and challenge the dominance of Western-led institutions like the IMF and World Bank, which have long set the rules of global finance and development. BRICS aims to create a more balanced and inclusive international order. Central to this mission is the New Development Bank, launched in 2015, which provides alternative sources of financing for infrastructure and development projects. The bank also promotes de-dollarization, encouraging member countries to reduce their reliance on the US dollar in international trade and finance, and to use their own currencies instead. With its recent expansion, despite Argentina's withdrawal, the bloc now represents over 40% of the world's population, and has surpassed the G7 in terms of purchasing power parity. This gives BRICS significant economic weight and influence in global markets. The inclusion of major oil-producing nations has further strengthened BRICS, giving it new leverage over global energy markets and the ability to influence prices and supply chains in ways that were previously unimaginable. For many countries in the global South, BRICS offers more than just economic opportunities. It provides access to new markets, much-needed development finance, and a platform for political coordination, without the conditions and restrictions often imposed by Western powers. As its economic and political influence continues to grow, BRICS is emerging as a compelling force in the 21st century, shaping the future of global cooperation and competition. Argentina's rejection of BRICS membership is not just a diplomatic decision, it's the result of a profound political earthquake shaking the nation's foundations. At the heart of this seismic shift is the meteoric rise of Javier Milei, an outsider who captured the public's imagination with promises of radical change and a break from the status quo. The previous administration, led by Alberto Fernandez, viewed BRICS as a strategic opportunity, a way to diversify Argentina's alliances and gain independence from the economic and political influence of the West. In stark contrast, Milei, a self-styled anarcho-capitalist, campaigned on a platform of sweeping economic liberalization, vowing to slash state intervention and align Argentina firmly with the United States and Israel. For Milei, BRICS represented not just an economic bloc, but an ideological alliance fundamentally at odds with his vision, especially given the central roles of China and Russia, countries he openly criticized for their authoritarianism. Almost immediately after taking office, Milei acted on his campaign promises, swiftly rescinding Argentina's BRICS application. This bold move signaled not only a new era in Argentine politics, but also a dramatic reorientation of its global alliances. The United States welcomed Argentina's pivot enthusiastically, seeing it as a win for Western influence in the region. Meanwhile, BRICS capitals expressed disappointment, but given Milei's rhetoric, few were truly surprised. The contrast between Fernandez's pragmatic, multipolar approach and Milei's uncompromising ideological clarity could not be more stark, highlighting a deep transformation in Argentina's foreign policy philosophy. Today, Argentina's foreign policy is defined by a sharp realignment toward the West, a move that is already reshaping its international trajectory and signaling to the world that a new chapter has begun. Argentina's foreign policy pivot comes amid its worst economic crisis in decades. Milei inherited runaway inflation, depleted reserves, and soaring poverty. His response: radical shock therapy, peso devaluation, deep spending cuts, and subsidy eliminations. The pain has been immediate rising costs, stagnant wages, and widespread unrest, including a massive general strike. Dollarization is floated as a long-term fix, but it would mean surrendering monetary sovereignty. For now, Milei's reforms are a race against time, hoping for stabilization before social backlash overwhelms his government. Argentina's BRICS rejection was a clear overture to the U.S., aiming to rebuild a strategic alliance. The U.S. sees this as a win in its rivalry with China, especially as Milei's government quickly aligned with Washington on key issues. Yet, China remains a top trading partner and creditor, forcing Milei to balance tough rhetoric with economic pragmatism. The challenge: maintain vital trade with China, while deepening ties with the U.S. Success would validate the US-backed free market model. Failure could fuel skepticism and open doors for China's approach. Argentina's experiment is now a test case for the region, and for the competing visions of global order. The world is watching to see which model prevails. As Argentina stepped back, BRICS surged ahead, expanding into a diverse, powerful coalition. The addition of Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Indonesia has transformed BRICS into a bloc with global reach and immense economic heft. With major oil exporters on board, BRICS now wields significant influence over energy markets and global finance. The bloc's diversity bridges geopolitical divides, offering a forum outside Western frameworks. Its calls for reform at the IMF and World Bank now carry unprecedented weight. Interest in joining BRICS is growing, as more countries seek alternatives to Western-dominated institutions. Argentina's absence is notable, but the bloc's momentum is undiminished. Despite Milei's pro-Western stance, Argentina's economy is deeply tied to BRICS members China and Brazil. These nations are crucial buyers of Argentine exports and sources of financing. Severing ties isn't an option. Economic survival depends on pragmatic engagement. The Milei government must carefully separate political rhetoric from economic necessity, especially with China. Relations with Brazil, a key Mercosur partner, are equally vital despite ideological differences. Both sides have prioritized business over politics, recognizing mutual dependence. Argentina's foreign policy is now a balancing act. Ideological alignment with the West, economic pragmatism with key partners. The success of this strategy depends on whether trade can trump politics. Argentina's BRICS U-turn is a high-stakes gamble with global implications. If Milei's reforms succeed, Argentina could become a poster child for Western-aligned free market policies. Failure, however, could trigger deeper crisis and a backlash against US influence. For BRICS, Argentina's exit is a minor setback amid broader expansion and rising influence. The world is watching as nations navigate the US-China rivalry, forced to choose sides or balance both. Argentina's choice redraws South America's geopolitical map and tests the limits of ideology versus economic reality. The outcome will offer vital lessons for countries facing similar crossroads.